Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that we received. The translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story as anonymous? I never imagined that the decision that I made in 2014 was going to lead me down this dark path. Never, and I never thought. Back then, I was a truck driver. I was based in Johannesburg, hauling loads, especially of potatoes, from a farm. This farm, they used to call it Old Three, and I was just another man trying to make ends meet. But my life was spiraling out of control, so I had contracted an STI since I was someone who was really into women, these women of the night. And I just thought that since I was already circumcised, there was no need for me to use protection each and every time. So most of the women that I was sleeping with, we were not even using protection at all because I thought that I was already protected. So that was when I met a woman, but I'm not sure which woman that gave me this STI that was resistant to each and every antibiotic, any drug that the doctors gave me. So this STI, it would come and go until the doctors said that it was much more dangerous for my liver to keep on taking these drugs because the STI was not going away. It was a drug-resistant one, so nothing was working. When I saw that the Western medicine was not working, there was this other particular trip when I had gone to that farm. That was when I felt that since I had run out of options, I had been hearing about the sangomas in Zim, because whenever I would go to different farms to pick up a load of potatoes, I would get the chance to speak with guys mainly from Zim, ask them about a lot of stuff, and they were the ones that introduced me to some of the herbs, these herbs that can make a man to last longer in bed. So I always knew that in Zim, they were very powerful traditional healer who could supposedly fix anything, even things that modern medicine could not touch. It started on one of my trips to the farm. When I had gone to that farm, as someone who is really friendly, I started to have a conversation with a Zimbabwean man who was working there. We got to be talking, and I told him about my health problems. He told me about a very powerful sangoma. This sangoma who could perform rituals to heal people. At first I was skeptical. There was no way that I could ever go to Zim. Never. I had never thought about it. But when you are desperate, you will do anything, because I could not live with this disease any longer. And I thought that maybe this healer that he was talking about from his village could actually assist me. So I waited for him when he had a trip to return back to his country. Usually at that farm, during December, they'll be given their bonus money, and he was still waiting for the bonus money. And after that, we had to use my car. I had already applied for the proper documentation. We drove, we carried his groceries in my bakkie, and then we went to his village. When we arrived in his village, it was really calm and peaceful. And then that was when, after we had rested, we drove to the Sangoma. We arrived at the Sangoma's compound. You could tell that this man, he was very, very poor. And he told me not to question the way that this man was poor, because I said in my mind, if this man is poor like this, because there was poverty that was written everywhere at that traditional healer's compound, and I said, how can he assist me when a man is poor like this? Why can't he assist himself so that at least he can be better in life if he is this powerful? Whilst we were there waiting for him to finish whatever that he was doing, there was a beautiful car that just drove. It was a beautiful black Range Rover with a GP number plate. This startled me. I was surprised. And then that man that I was with, he then said, you see, this man, he is powerful. Just imagine that this family, they have traveled all the way from your country so that they can just have one-on-one with this man. That was when I started to believe in that man. So when my time came, he told me that he could cure me, but it was not going to be easy. The ritual, he said, that would give me everything that I wanted, because this was a bonus since we had bought some groceries for him. He said that for thinking in advance of buying me food, even though you did not know if I was going to be able to assist you, I want my ancestors to bless you. So I won't just give you your health back, but also your wealth, and you are going to live a life that is going to be a comfortable life. So I had to accept this. I did not know that by accepting this charm, it was going to change to become a Tokoloshe that will demand sacrifices from me in return. The man then told me that the reason as to why I was having this STI, it was all because I had slept with a married woman who had an African central locking system on her private parts. That was why I kept on getting sick like this. I said, how am I going to get cured? This man then called one of his assistants, who then took a chicken, and then they removed one feather from the chicken, and I was told to strip myself naked. It did not even matter that there were women who were with us in that consultation room. He told me not to be embarrassed, for I was there to receive my healing. They made me to lie down on a reed mat, and then I knew that something bad was about to happen to me, because there were two huge guys that came. One was holding my legs, the other one was holding my hands so that I won't move. The Zangoma came and knelt right next to me, and he grabbed my private parts. I panicked because I did not know what he wanted to do with me. He said, relax, relax, and he was very rude. He then started using that chicken feather on my private parts. It was very painful. You know, where we urinate as men, that was where he was sticking that chicken's feather, and it was really painful. And it was as if this man, he was trying to drill into me using that chicken feather. He kept on pushing and pushing and pushing, and I was screaming in pain until one of the guys gave me this other cloth that I had to bite on because it was so painful. And then that was when he said, it is done, it is done. One more time, and this one is going to be painful, for I am about to pull it out of your manhood. And indeed, he pulled it out of my manhood, and I felt like my body was entering into shock. It was really painful. I could not handle the pain anymore. But then there was a sense of relief, because I felt that there were things that were now coming out of my manhood. I thought that maybe I was urinating, because there were some fluids that kept on coming and coming out. He then said, release him so that he can see. Brother Nashi, they then placed a small clay plate so that my manhood, all the fluid that was coming out of my manhood, can fall directly into that clay plate. When they showed me, I saw some fluid that were like drop. When you are having that STI that is called drop, and you keep on having those fluids, I filled up that clay plate with all of that fluid. And he told me that sometimes when you have drop, you just think that it is just normal drop, but you would have met a woman whose husband would have used a charm on her, so that if she sleeps with anyone, she will give that person an STI that can only be cured using the African way. I was grateful, and then I also had to accept that charm. I didn't know what the Tokoloshe was, and I did not care at that time, since I had been cured, and this man, he had showed me how powerful he was. I agreed, and then after that, we then returned back to my country with my new friend. Within weeks, I had been fired. When I got fired, I was like, maybe this is the curse, because I went to Zim to do these rituals. One day, I received a phone call from another man who had his own truck. This man then called me. I went to his office, and then we spoke. He told me that he had ventured into this trucking business without proper experience. So he had been looking around, and then he found my CV. He wanted to give me an opportunity. he had been considering of selling the truck, so he was giving me this opportunity of buying the truck from him whilst I will be working. He said, if you push really hard, if you are able to return back the money that I used to purchase this truck as quickly as possible, then this baby can be yours. That was the most beautiful thing that had ever happened in my life. I started working and working really hard until I earned that truck. This Tokoloshe, as time went on, that was when it appeared to me, revealed itself to me, and I didn't think that it was going to affect my family. I was wrong. The real nightmare began with my daughter, Zanele, not her real name. She was 24, full of life, and had graduated from university. She had her whole future ahead of her. Then one day, she fell mysteriously ill. It started with small things like malaria. We were like, where did she get this malaria from? Then it got worse. She lost the ability to walk, and the doctors tried everything. She could not even be cured. That was when I had a dream. It was the Tokoloshe that had made her to be crippled, for it was feeding on her blood. The wealth that I have, it resulted with me having a crippled child. I sought that Sangoma because I was desperate to cure my disease. Now I live knowing that I made my daughter to be a crippled because of my mistakes, because of my choices with sleeping with prostitutes without using protection at all. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admin who helped us with this translation. Yo,